Hello. So friends, now again we are going to discuss certain previous year's questions. Now here there's a very good question as in 2022. How is the growth of tier 2 cities? Growth of tier 2 cities related to the rise of new middle class with emphasis on culture of consumption. मतलब ये यहाँ ये कहना चाहते हैं जो टियर 2 सिटीज की ग्रोथ हुई है दैट इज एट्रीब्यूटेड टू द राइज ऑफ न्यू मिडिल क्लास, नई जो मिडिल क्लास एग्जिस्टेंस में आई है जिसका फोकस whose focus is on culture of consumption. So they want to say that tier 2 cities have increased in number due to rise in the population of new middle class whose focus is on culture of consumption. Now, first of all, let me clarify what are tier 2 cities. See, cities are classified as tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 on the basis of housing allowance that government gives. इनको एक्स वाई जेड भी कहते हैं, एक्स वाई जेड. टियर 1 सिटीज इंडिया में 8 हैं इस समय. देर आर 8 टियर 1 सिटीज लाइक दिल्ली, चेन्नई, कोलकाता, मुंबई, and then Pune, Hyderabad, Ahmedabad, Bangalore. These 8 cities are classified as tier 1 cities. Baki, most of the cities are tier 2 cities. There are 100 tier 2 cities, be it Indore, be it Bhopal, be it Lucknow, Jaipur, Vadodara, Bhubaneswar, Varanasi, Meerut, Bareilly, all are tier 2 cities. तो टियर 2 सिटीज वो सिटीज हैं विच वर बेसिकली लैगिंग बिहाइंड प्रीवियसली. व्हाट इज कहते हैं टियर 2 सिटीज, द ग्रोथ ऑफ टियर 2 सिटीज इज रिलेटेड टू rise of new middle class. What do you mean by middle class? There is a general misconception about middle class. Middle class means you try to visualize middle class in terms of people whose salaries are limited. No, middle class has nothing to do with salary. Middle class simply means educated class. Middle class का actual meaning है educated class. Basically this is a class of people who earn their living on the basis of their educational attainment. Those are termed as middle class. Now yes, यहाँ middle class लोग use कर देते हैं, those middle earning people are middle class, but actually middle class means those people who are earning on the basis of their educational attainment. What is culture? What is culture of consumption? So this new middle class population has increased in the population of new middle class has led to the growth of tier 2 cities, and this new middle class has its focus on culture of consumption. Now, what do you mean by culture of consumption? Consumption here means consumption of consumer durables. Like these peoples are extensively making use of modern household gadgets, like इनके घर में एयर कंडीशनर होगा, a washing machine, vacuum cleaner, and basically internet facilities. They of extensive use of automobiles, personal automobiles. Apart from consuming food items, grocery items, this consumption has led to increase in the size of the market. भाई जब आप लार्ज स्केल कार खरीदोगे, उस कारों की एजेंसीज आ जाएंगी, वहाँ पर एसीज खरीदोगे, वहाँ वॉशिंग मशीन्स खरीदोगे, तो ऑल दोज सेलर्स विल आल्सो कम इनटू एग्जिस्टेंस. तो मोटा मोटी समझ में आया, टियर 2 सिटीज विच आर बेसिकली 100 इन नंबर, विच आर नॉट एज लार्ज मेट्रो सिटीज, बट काफ़ी बड़ी भी हैं. बेसिकली 40 लाख पॉपुलेशन तक हो जाती है इनकी, 30-40 लाख से लेकर के 10 लाख की पॉपुलेशन तक टियर 2 सिटीज़ roughly. And middle class, educated class, and culture of consumption here refers to consumption of consumer durables like modern household gadgets, and also physical consumption of grocery items, and all these things. Now, initially the focus of government was on investment in tier 1 cities. अभी तक क्या होता था, मोस्ट ऑफ द एम्प्लॉयमेंट एवेन्यूज वर कन्फाइंड टू लार्ज मेट्रो सिटीज, वो जो 8 सिटीज बताए ना, दिल्ली, मुंबई, कलकत्ता, चेन्नई, अहमदाबाद, हैदराबाद, बेंगलोर एंड पुणे. But over the period of time, what we saw, because of investment in tier 1 cities, despite heavy investment in tier 1 cities, the size of immigrant population was so large that those cities got oversaturated. Matlab, the burden on physical and social infrastructure was so huge that it was unbearable. तो इतने सारे लोग सब तरफ से वही 8 सिटीज में फ्लॉक इन करने लगे. So what happened? This led to increase in squatter settlement, slums, congestion, pollution, crime, unemployment, and above all, rising cost of living that made these cities unsustainable. As a result, government was prompted to shift its focus on tier 2 cities. उन्होंने कहा भाई देखो, अब tier 1 cities are already oversaturated because of a large influx of population. They are not in a position to fulfill the basic, provide even the basic amenities to such large immigrants. फूड, शेल्टर, सैनिटेशन की भी फैसिलिटी नहीं अवेलेबल करा पा रहे थे. तो गवर्नमेंट फोकस्ड ऑन टियर 2 सिटीज. टियर 2 cities are smaller in comparison. They have basically less congested. They have affordable real estates, isn't it? तुम जमीन भी सस्ती है वहां पर. Cost of living is less. Government developed infrastructure in tier 2 cities like better road qualities. Some tier 2 cities are having metro rail connectivity also. Regular supply of electricity, availability of internet facility. So this attracted entrepreneurs, investors, and talent into the city. As a result of investment by, as a result of these entrepreneurs, investors, and talent, basically there was rise in startup ecosystem, and this began to provide white collar jobs. The opportunity of white collar jobs in tier 2 cities increased. This led to increase in the rise of new middle class in these cities. Now, why? Because of lower cost of living and affordable real estate. Because of high white collar jobs, the salaries were good, better schooling facilities, better medical facilities, मतलब वहां पर भी सारी अवेलेबल थी. And they had, in these cities, they had more disposable income. As a result of more disposable income, they started spending more, spending increased. And these residents of tier 2 cities tried to emulate the lifestyle of tier 1 cities. उनको भी वो सब चाहिए था. Night clubs have also come into existence, basically where you could go and enjoy overnight. तो यहाँ पर tier 2 cities provided all those, began to provide all those amenities which were available in tier 1 cities with at a lower cost of living. Cost of living, real estate prices are quite low in tier 2 cities as compared to tier 1 cities. Tier 1 cities में तुम इतना महंगा रेंट दे करके एक घोंसले में रहते हो. In tier 2 city, at the same rent you can purchase a big spacious housing. So that, and moreover, availability of increase in the service sector, increase in employment opportunities because of white collar job, increase in salaries. There was a rise of new middle class in these cities that was having adequate disposable income, so that it started availing all the facilities of modern gadgets, that is culture of consumption. This further facilitated the growth of market, providing all those amenities. Malls also began to came into existence in these tier 2 cities. Indore, Bhubaneswar, Lucknow, Jaipur demand all the modern amenities that are available in tier 1 cities. And these people tried to emulate the lifestyle of tier 1 cities. New entrants found tier 2 cities attractive because there they found all the amenities of tier 1 cities are available at a much lower cost. And here they could find employment also, because tier 2 cities witnessed numerous rise of startup ecosystems. So service sector was made amenable. Although certain tier 2 cities have manufacturing activities also, but most tier 2 cities relies on service sector and they have adequate white collar jobs. And that is how this growth of tier 2 cities took place. इसमें तुमको यह दिस क्वेश्चन रिक्वायर्स अ लिटिल बिट ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग. क्वेश्चन की डिमांड क्या है? द ग्रोथ ऑफ टियर 2 सिटी इज रिलेटेड टू द राइज इन अ न्यू मिडिल क्लास with focus on with emphasis on culture of consumption. This is perfect answer what I have explained you. Now next question, what are the forces that influence ocean current? Now ocean current is influenced by various forces. According to Alexander von Humboldt, he said ocean currents are influenced by physical properties of water, numerous physical properties of water, temperature, density, salinity, and various factors and forces influence ocean current. So what are the forces that influence ocean current? Forces influencing ocean currents. You might be accustomed, ocean current refers to the horizontal movement of water, of the surface water of the ocean. Ocean current refers to horizontal movement of surface water of ocean in a designated direction, uh, with under the influence of various forces. Now let us see what are the factors and forces that influence ocean current. First, gravitational force. Ocean currents clear है ना? Ocean current simply refers to, suppose this is an ocean, oceanic water. Ocean current simply refers to horizontal movement of surface water of ocean in a designated direction. That is ocean current. It is horizontal movement of surface water in fairly defined direction. Now, what are the forces that influence ocean current? First, I will name the forces. Then briefly, I will tell you how do they influence. How do they influence ocean current? Gravitational force of Earth. Second, Coriolis force. There are 13 forces and factors that influence ocean current. Then there is pressure, atmospheric pressure. That is atmospheric pressure and its variation. Atmospheric pressure and its variation. Fourth is wind and its frictional force on sea. That is very important, most important. Wind and its frictional force is a very important factor. Fifth, precipitation and its variation. Sixth, evaporation. Seventh, pressure gradient. Eighth, temperature and its variation. Ninth, salinity and its variation. 10th, density and its variation. 11th, melting of ice. 12th, nature of coastline. And 13th is ocean bottom topography. These are the various factors and for 13 हैं, 13 major, most important. 13, these are the forces and factors that influence ओशन करेंट्स. अब कैसे करते हैं इसको भी बता देते हैं, जरूरत नहीं है एग्जाम में इस जीएस पे, क्योंकि सेकंड पार्ट भी है इसका. डिस्क्राइब द रोल ऑफ ओशन करंट इन फिशिंग इंडस्ट्री ऑफ द वर्ल्ड. सेकंड पार्ट इज इक्वली लॉन्ग. तो यहाँ पर ब्रीफली मैं बता देता हूँ, हाउ डज द ग्रेविटेशनल फोर्स इन्फ्लुएंस ओशन करंट. नाउ सी, अर्थ इज नॉट अ स्फीयर, इट इज ellipsoid. It is bulging at equator, and it is flat at poles. At the distance of the Earth's center, its extent is more at equator and its extent is less at poles. The gravitational force although acts towards Earth's center, but its magnitude varies from latitude to latitude, because as we move from equator to poles, the distance from the Earth's axis of Earth's center goes on decreasing. As this distance goes on decreasing, the magnitude of gravitational force goes on increasing. And as we move toward deeper areas in the ocean, the magnitude of this gravitational force again goes on increasing. So any current, its direction of gravitational force is not same. Although it is directed towards center, its magnitude increases from equator to pole, and as a result of its not being perfectly a sphere, it is ellipsoid, slightly bulging at equator. The direction of gravitational force also changes. This induces motion in ocean currents. Second, Coriolis force. Yes, we know that in Coriolis force always acts it acts on every body which is having horizontal movement over the earth's surface. कोई भी चीज, if it is having, whether it is air or bullet or aeroplane, whatever it is, if it is having, or ocean current, if it is having movement, horizontal movement over the earth's surface, then a Coriolis force acts on that moving body. It always acts towards the right hand side in northern hemisphere, so it always turns the moving body towards right in northern hemisphere, and it turns the moving body towards left in the southern hemisphere, and its impact is felt dominantly on ocean currents. If it is moving in northern hemisphere, the Coriolis force will act on the right hand side, and in southern hemisphere, left hand side. The magnitude of Coriolis force is proportional to the velocity of ocean current, to the mass of ocean current, and on the distance of ocean current from Earth's equator. Third, atmospheric pressure and its variation. Now, atmospheric pressure, you see, wherever on Earth air is sinking air tends to increase the atmospheric pressure. Like subtropical, that is 25 to 30 north and 25 to 30 south. These are the areas of sinking air, where these are the areas of sinking air. तभी तो इनको हॉट्स लैटिट्यूड्स कहते थे, because there was danger of ship being sank. तो Arab traders used to throw the horses out of the ship into the sea. Subtropical high pressure belts between 25 to 30 north and 25 to 30 south. These are characterized by sinking air. As a result of sinking air, this increased pressure, sea level gets lowered. As a result, water flows towards subtropical high pressure belt from north and south. This high atmospheric pressure along subtropical high pressure belt generates surface movement of horizontal movement of water. Wind, this is the most important factor for the genesis of ocean current. You see, planetary winds like trade winds, you might have seen trade winds, they blow in northern hemisphere from northeast to southwest, in southern hemisphere from southeast to northwest, and they exert frictional drag over the sea surface. And these trade winds are responsible for existence of north equatorial current and south equatorial current in Indian Ocean, in Pacific Ocean, and in Atlantic Ocean. Whereas westerlies that blow in middle latitudes, these westerlies are responsible for the existence of In northern hemisphere, Gulf Stream, Kuroshio current, Kuroshio extension, all these owe their existence to westerlies. And then polar easterlies in high latitudes, they are responsible for currents moving from polar regions towards middle latitudes, like Labrador current, Greenland current, Oyashio current. All these currents owe their existence to polar easterlies. Now, precipitation. Yes, precipitation is a very important factor. In equatorial region, because of high precipitation, sea level is raised. As a result, water always moves from equator towards north and south. Because of surplus precipitation in this equatorial region, sea level gets raised. As a result, water flows from equator towards north and south. So wherever precipitation is more, sea level is raised and surface water moves away from those regions. Next, pressure gradient. Obviously, pressure gradient, rate of change of pressure. जो प्रेशर ग्रेडियंट होता है, that is a very important factor. Winds itself blow because of pressure gradient. The pressure gradient causes wind to blow, and winds exert frictional drag over the surface water. That causes horizontal movement of horizontal movement of upper layers of water, leading to ocean currents. Now, this temperature difference. Yes, temperature difference. Those areas where temperature is high, thermal expansion of water takes place and sea level gets raised. And those areas where temperature is low, remember, the density of sea water is determined by pressure, salinity and temperature. तीन फैक्टर हैं, टेम्परेचर, सैलिनिटी and pressure, that determine the density of sea water. Among them, temperature happens to be the most important factor. Those areas which are characterized by high temperature, thermal expansion takes place, sea level rises, and those areas which have low temperature, contraction takes place, sea level lowers, and water always moves from high temperature to low temperature regions, surface water. And cold, suppose water is warm, sea level will rise thermal expansion की वजह से, and surface water on the surface will move towards cold areas, and cold water will sink down and move as subsurface water. Cold water will move as subsurface water towards the warm areas. Salinity. Salinity is also a factor. Basically, wherever salinity is high, density of water is high. So wherever high saline water is there, this water tends to sink, and water always flows from low salinity areas to high salinity areas. जैसे Mediterranean Sea है, or you can say Red Sea. These seas are bounded by land on all sides. As a result, high temperature is there, evaporation is there, salinity is increased. Because of high salinity, water always moves from open sea into these seas. That is, water moves from areas of low salinity, because high salinity water tend to sink down and moves as subsurface water. High salinity water sinks down and moves as subsurface water, and surface water moves from low salinity to high salinity. Then density. This is also related to the salinity. Density, wherever the density of water is high, the high dense water always tends to sink down, and surface water flows from low density to high density on the surface and constitute ocean current. Melting of ice. Yes, polar currents emanating from polar regions, basically they are the result of melting of ice, like Greenland current, Labrador current, Oyashio current. Although they are drifted by polar easterlies, but it is because of melting of water. Fresh water is always lighter as compared to saline water. When ice melts, fresh water is released. Being lighter, it moves on the surface towards tropical region. Coastline. Yes, coastline, obviously. Ocean currents are always modified by adjoining coastline, like North Equatorial Current in Atlantic Ocean. When it reaches South America, it is guided by the coastline of South America, and it starts moving towards northwest. See, in this ocean, when the when this current, north equatorial current, this reaches the coastline of South America, it turns northward because it is guided by the coastline. South equatorial current, on encountering Cape Saurock, it turns southward according to the coastline. Coastline plays a very important role in modifying the direction of ocean current. And last is ocean bottom topography. By ocean bottom topography, at times reaches very close to the surface. You can see in the western part of Pacific Ocean, it is dotted with numerous seamounts, gyots, islands. Here, north and south equatorial current of Pacific Ocean, even before they could reach the western boundary, they get deflected. They get deflected by the uneven ocean bottom topography. So ocean bottom topography also has huge impact on ocean current. These are the factors and forces that influence ocean current. Now the second part of this question is, describe the role of ocean current in fishing industry of the world. Now here you can see what is the role of ocean current. Ocean currents play a very important role in determining the fishing industry of the world. See, now what happens? How do ocean current? Second part is, describe the role of ocean current in fishing industry of the world. Now see, take the tropical areas. Let us see the influence of ocean current in tropical areas. In tropical areas, this is Tropic of Cancer, this is Tropic of Capricorn. Here, these ocean currents, north equatorial current, south equatorial current. Same in Pacific Ocean. Ocean current, suppose this is any ocean. Under the frictional drag of planetary winds in tropical regions, the north and south equatorial current moves from east to west. As a result, surface layer of oceanic water moves from east to west. As this surface water is moving from east to west, let it be north equatorial current or south equatorial current. This current is moving from east to west. As a result, when the surface water is dragged away, to replace this surface water, cold water upwells from below. Cold water upwells from below. This brings nutrients. This brings nutrients from the sea bottom. As a result of nutrients, planktons comes into existence, which acts as food for fish. As a result, on the eastern part of tropical sea, anywhere you can go, because here also north and south equatorial currents are blowing. These north and south equatorial current will cause upwelling on the eastern side of, because they will drag away the warm surface water, and cold water upwells from below to replace this loss of water, which brings nutrients, which leads to proliferation of planktons, which is food for fish. And fishing is a thriving industry only in the eastern part of tropical seas. Only in the eastern part of tropical sea, because of this factor. This warm surface water that piles up on the remaining part, this warm surface water that piles up in the remaining part of tropical sea, this warm water raises the temperature. As a result, rate of photosynthesis increases in large part of western part of tropical seas. This rate of photosynthesis leads to algal bloom that increases biological oxygen demand. that reduces dissolved oxygen in the ocean. As a result, fishes and other organisms disappear. So, fishing is never an important activity on the western part of tropical sea. It credit goes to these ocean current. It is along the eastern part of tropical sea because they drag away the warm surface water. You always have cold currents on the eastern part of tropical sea. Here it is Bangula current. Here it is basically a very famous Peruvian current, that is Humboldt current, cold current. Why? Because this north and south equatorial current, here you see Canary current, isn't it? Here you see cold Californian current. Here, because warm surface water is being dragged away and cold water that upwells from below causes this cold current and brings nutrients that enables fisheries. Whereas in the western part of tropical sea, you see warm surface water piles up that raises the photosynthesis that leads to rapid growth of organic matter, that is algal bloom, BOD increases, dissolved oxygen decreases, and fishes disappear. See, it is these ocean currents that are determining the fishery role of fishing industry. Take the case of currents in middle latitudes. In middle latitudes, what we see here, temperature of the ocean is moderate. It's neither very hot nor very it's cold, but it's not very hot. It is warm and cool. Warm and cool. Here what we see, ocean currents, like you see here Florida current, then there is a, after Florida current there is a Gulf Stream current. Gulf Stream current, on mixing with Labrador current, it gets modified. This warm current continues its journey towards north in multiple branches. Like one of the branch of Gulf Stream turns towards southwest of Iceland, known as Irmingar current, which keeps the coast of Iceland warm so fishing can be done. Otherwise it will be frozen. Another branch, that is Norwegian current, moves all along the coast of Norway and northern Europe. This Norwegian current is responsible for keeping this coast free from frozen. Therefore, all along the coast of Norway, from Stavanger to Hammerfest, cod fishing is done. Lofoten Island is there. Cod fishing is done. Why? Because this warm current keeps the coast open. And then basically the southern branch that takes southward turn is Canary current. So you see here also, the in middle latitudes you can see Kuroshio current and Kuroshio extension that keeps the coast open, and wherever, suppose here this cold Labrador current is meeting with Gulf Stream, that creates ideal condition for fishing. That therefore the Grand Bank is known for fishing. This Dogger Bank is also known for fishing because this Gulf Stream, a branch of Gulf Stream, also enters into Dogger Bank by way of English Channel. So these regions, it is the ocean currents that have, in middle latitudes, ocean currents enable fishing throughout the seas. In western part also, in eastern part, they bring warm water that enable the coast to remain open throughout the year, that enable fishing all around the year. Iceland is a great fishing nation. Norway is a great fishing nation only because of the fact that these ocean current like Gulf Stream and Irmingar current keep their coast open. Along the coast of Japan, here Oyashio current, Kuroshio currents meets with Oyashio current. Mixing of warm and cold current prompts fishing. Apart from that, the Kuroshio extension, which is also warm current, enables fishing in Gulf of Alaska. Gulf of Alaska, this current, Alaskan current, it is an extension of Kuroshio current which enters into Gulf of Alaska and prevents its freezing. It's a warm current, Alaskan current, that promotes fishing. So that was about all this. Now we'll continue in the next lecture.